The stale scent of lukewarm coffee filled the air as I trudged into the kitchen. It was 6:00 a.m. in Seattle, and the perpetual gray sky was already casting a long shadow over the day. Alaric, a 46-year-old IT specialist, needed caffeine and a plan, though I wasn't sure which was more urgent. My life had been a predictable, comfortable routine until about 6 months ago. I had a beautiful wife, Isolde, a cozy house in the suburbs, and a golden retriever named Winston who greeted me with an enthusiastic tail wag every evening. Isolde worked as a marketing manager at a big tech firm downtown, and I coded away in my home office, fixing bugs and occasionally dreaming of writing the next killer app. We had been married for 15 years, a milestone we celebrated with a trip to Napa Valley, or so I thought. The first sign that something was amiss was Isolde's increasing distance. She started working late more often, citing urgent projects and demanding deadlines. Her phone, usually left carelessly on the kitchen counter, became a closely guarded secret, always face down, always password protected. Our conversations dwindled to curt exchanges about dinner and the weather. Intimacy, once a comforting routine, faded into awkward silences and averted gazes. I tried to talk to her, of course. Isolde, is everything okay? I'd ask, my voice laced with concern. You seem different. I'm fine, Alaric, she'd reply, her voice tight. Just stressed with work. You know how it is. But I didn't know how it was. I knew how demanding my job could be, but I also knew the importance of communication, of leaning on each other during tough times. Isolde seemed to be pushing me away, building a wall brick by brick. The real trouble began when she announced her girls' trip to Las Vegas. It's just a weekend, Alaric, she said, her eyes avoiding mine. I need to blow off some steam with the girls. We haven't done this in ages. I was skeptical. Isolde wasn't one for wild weekends in Vegas. She preferred quiet evenings at home, a good book, and a glass of wine, but I didn't want to seem controlling, so I reluctantly agreed. Okay, honey, I said. Have fun, be safe. I will, she replied, offering a quick peck on my cheek before rushing off to pack. The whole thing felt rushed, forced, and wrong. That weekend was agonizing. I spent the days trying to distract myself with work, but my mind kept wandering back to Isolde in Vegas. Was she really with her friends? Was she having fun? Or was something else going on? On Sunday evening, I decided to surprise her at the airport. I checked the flight schedules online and arrived at SeaTac an hour before her flight was due to land. I stood near the gate, clutching a bouquet of her favorite lilies, trying to suppress the gnawing feeling in my gut. When the passengers began to disembark, I scanned the faces, searching for Isolde. And then I saw her. She was walking hand in hand with a man. Not just any man, but her boss, a slick, silver-haired executive named Bertram. They were laughing, their faces close, completely oblivious to the world around them. The lilies slipped from my grasp, scattering across the floor. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat of disbelief and pain. I stood there, frozen, watching them walk away, their fingers intertwined, their bodies pressed close. I didn't confront them. I couldn't. I was too shocked, too hurt, too betrayed. I turned and fled, blindly navigating the crowded terminal, tears streaming down my face. I drove home in a daze, the image of Isolde and Bertram seared into my mind. That night I couldn't sleep. I paced the living room, replaying the scene at the airport over and over again. How could she do this to me? After 15 years of marriage, how could she betray me so callously? In the morning, I decided on a plan. I couldn't stay in that house, surrounded by the ghosts of our happy memories. I packed a bag, grabbed Winston, and drove to a small motel on the outskirts of town. I needed time to think, to process, to decide what to do next. The next few days were a blur of sleepless nights, endless cups of coffee, and frantic internet searches. I scoured articles on infidelity, divorce, and legal rights. I learned about community property, spousal support, and the importance of gathering evidence. I knew I couldn't confront Isolde without proof. She was a skilled manipulator, and I was sure she would deny everything, twist the story, and somehow make me feel like I was the one at fault. So I hired a private investigator. A grizzled, no-nonsense woman named Bront. I met her at a dingy coffee shop downtown, handing over a photo of Isolde and Bertram and a hefty retainer fee. I need proof, I told her, my voice trembling. I need to know everything. Bront nodded, her eyes cold and professional. I'll get it for you, she said. But be prepared. What you find might not be what you want to hear. I spent the next week in agonizing anticipation. I tried to focus on work, but my mind was consumed by thoughts of Isolde and Bertram. Were they together right now? Were they laughing at me? Were they planning their future together? Finally, Bront called. I have something for you, she said, her voice grave. Meet me at the same coffee shop tomorrow morning. I arrived at the coffee shop early, my hands clammy, my stomach churning. Bront was already there, sitting at a corner table, a thick manila envelope in front of her. Here's everything, she said, sliding the envelope across the table. Photos, videos, emails, phone records, it's all there. I opened the envelope, my hands shaking. The contents were damning. Photos of Isolde and Bertram kissing, holding hands, entering and leaving a hotel room. Emails filled with suggestive messages and declarations of love. Phone records showing countless late-night calls and text messages. But the most shocking piece of evidence was a video. A video of Isolde and Bertram in a hotel room in Las Vegas, engaged in a passionate embrace. The video was clear, undeniable, and utterly devastating. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. I closed my eyes, trying to block out the images, but they were seared into my brain. My wife, the woman I had loved and trusted for 15 years, had been lying to me, deceiving me, and betraying me in the most intimate way possible. Thank you, Bront, I said, my voice barely a whisper. You've done your job. I left the coffee shop and drove back to the motel, my mind racing. I knew what I had to do. I had to confront Isolde. I had to end the charade. I waited until she came home from work that evening. I was sitting in the living room, the manila envelope on the coffee table, Winston curled up at my feet. Isolde walked in, her face tired, her eyes wary. Alaric, she said, her voice hesitant. What are you doing here? We need to talk, Isolde, I said, my voice cold and hard. About your trip to Vegas. Her face paled. What about it? She stammered. I gestured to the envelope on the coffee table. I know everything, Isolde, I said. I know about Bertram, I know about the affair, I know about the lies. She stared at the envelope, her eyes wide with fear. Alaric, I can explain, she said, her voice trembling. Explain what, Isolde? I said, my voice rising. Explain how you could betray me like this. Explain how you could throw away 15 years of marriage for a cheap fling with your boss. It's not like that, Alaric, she said, tears streaming down her face. It just happened. We were working late, we were stressed, we were drawn to each other, I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Is that what you call it? Drawn to each other while you were lying to me, deceiving me, and sneaking around behind my back. I didn't mean to hurt you, Alaric, she said, her voice choked with sobs. I still love you, don't lie to me, Isolde, I said, my voice shaking with rage. You don't love me, you love Bertram, you love the power, the money, the excitement, you love the thrill of the chase. I stood up and walked over to the window, staring out at the rain-soaked street. I want a divorce, Isolde, I said, my voice flat. I want you out of my life, she gasped. Alaric, please, she said, her voice pleading. Don't do this. We can work through this. We can go to therapy. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix, Isolde, I said, turning back to face her. You broke it, you destroyed it, and I'm not willing to spend another minute of my life with someone who is capable of such betrayal. I watched as her face crumpled, her eyes filling with tears. You're making a mistake, Alaric, she said, her voice desperate. You'll regret this. I don't think so, Isolde, I said, my voice calm and resolute. I think I'm finally doing what I should have done a long time ago. I'm choosing myself. I'm choosing my happiness, and I'm choosing to walk away from someone who doesn't deserve me. I spent the next few weeks navigating the legal process, meeting with lawyers, filing paperwork, and gathering financial documents. Isolde fought me every step of the way, denying the affair, demanding spousal support, and trying to paint me as the bad guy. But I had the evidence. I had the photos, the videos, the emails, the phone records. And I had Bront, who testified in court about her investigation and her findings. In the end, the judge ruled in my favor. Isolde was found guilty of adultery, denied spousal support, and ordered to pay my legal fees. I was awarded full ownership of the house, the car, and the majority of our assets, but the victory felt hollow. I had won the legal battle, but I had lost something far more valuable, my trust, my faith, and my belief in the power of love. I moved out of the house and into a small apartment downtown. I adopted a second dog, a scruffy terrier named Maggie, to keep Winston company. I threw myself into my work, coding late into the night, trying to drown out the pain with lines of code. One day, a few months after the divorce was finalized, I received a call from Bertram's wife, Genevieve. I was surprised to hear from her, but I agreed to meet her for coffee. We met at the same dingy coffee shop where I had met Braunt. Genevieve was a tall, elegant woman with a sharp gaze and a no-nonsense demeanor. "I wanted to thank you," she said, her voice low, "for exposing Isolde's affair with my husband." "I didn't do it for you," I said, my voice guarded. "I did it for myself." "I know," she said, "but your actions had a ripple effect. After your divorce, I confronted Bertram. He denied everything at first, but I showed him the evidence. He finally confessed." "What happened?" I asked. "I divorced him," she said, her voice firm. "I took him for everything he had, and I made sure he lost his job." I stared at her in surprise. "You got revenge." I said. "I got justice," she said. "And I wanted you to know that you weren't alone. We were both victims of their selfishness and their lies." We sat in silence for a moment, each lost in our own thoughts. Then Genevieve reached across the table and took my hand. "Thank you, Alaric," she said, "for being brave enough to stand up for yourself. You inspired me to do the same." Smiled, a genuine smile for the first time in months. "You're welcome, Genevieve," I said. "I'm glad we could help each other. In the end, I didn't get revenge. I didn't seek to destroy Isolde or Bertram. I simply walked away, choosing my own happiness and my own peace of mind. But sometimes karma has a way of taking care of things. Isolde lost Bertram, who moved on to a younger woman. She was left alone with nothing but her regrets. Bertram lost his wife, his job, and his reputation. He was left with nothing but the consequences of his actions. As for me, I found happiness again. I met a wonderful woman named Elena at a dog park. She was kind, compassionate, and honest. We fell in love and we built a life together based on trust, respect, and mutual support. I learned a valuable lesson from my experience with Isolde. I learned that love is not enough. You also need trust, honesty, and respect. And I learned that sometimes the best revenge is simply walking away and choosing your own happiness. The sun began to set, casting a warm glow over Seattle. I looked out the window, watching Winston and Maggie play in the park below. I smiled, feeling a sense of peace and contentment wash over me. I had survived the betrayal, and I had emerged stronger, wiser, and more resilient. To those of you who have experienced similar betrayals, I want you to know that you are not alone. It's okay to feel angry, hurt, and confused. But don't let the pain consume you. Don't let the betrayal define you. Choose yourself, choose your happiness, and walk away from those who don't deserve you. You are stronger than you think, and you will get through this. Trust me, I know. Summary. Alaric, an IT specialist in Seattle, discovers his wife Isolde's affair with her boss, Bertram, during a supposed girls' trip to Las Vegas. The initial shock and heartbreak lead him to hire a private investigator, Braunt, who uncovers damning evidence of the affair. Armed with proof, Alaric confronts Isolde and initiates a divorce. Despite Isolde's attempts to deny and manipulate the situation, the court rules in Alaric's favor, denying her spousal support and awarding him the majority of their assets. Later, Bertram's wife, Genevieve, contacts Alaric to thank him, revealing she divorced Bertram and ensured he lost his job. Alaric eventually finds love again with Elena, learning that trust and respect are crucial in a relationship. He realizes the best revenge is choosing his own happiness and moving on, leaving Isolde and Bertram to face the consequences of their actions. This story is a testament to resilience, self-discovery, and finding peace after betrayal. Remember, you are not defined by the betrayal you experience. Choose your happiness and move forward. You deserve it.